Pundits and politicians have spent decades describing the Iraq War as a mistake, a miscalculation, or a quagmire. These words suggest an innocent slip in judgment, a well-intentioned plan that simply went off the rails. Real-world logistics tell a different story. Dropping 29,199 bombs on a sovereign nation in 6 weeks requires a level of calculated coordination that the word mistake cannot cover. The human toll includes anywhere from 200,000 to 500,000 Iraqi civilians and 4,486 American soldiers. Financial costs for the post-9/11 war machine have now surpassed $14 trillion. Labeling this level of destruction a mistake acts as a rhetorical shield. In reality, the war was a highly successful, calculated heist executed by an empire masquerading as a government. In August 2002, the White House Iraq Group began treating the invasion like a product launch. As White House Chief of Staff Andrew Card explained, from a marketing point of view, you don't introduce new products in August. The Center for Public Integrity documented 935 false statements made by top administration officials in the 2 years following September 11th. President Bush and Secretary of State Colin Powell were responsible for over 500 of these fabrications. Officials claimed Saddam Hussein possessed weapons of mass destruction, citing aluminum tubes for conventional rockets as evidence of a nuclear program. They pointed to mobile labs that produced hydrogen for weather balloons as biological weapons facilities. Internal intelligence reports and inspectors on the ground told them these claims were false. 775 reporters signed contracts with the military to be embedded with troops, effectively acting as mouthpieces for the military-industrial complex. Dissenting voices were marginalized, while pro-war sources were given 64% of total media airtime. A deliberate, well-funded marketing campaign bypassed democratic oversight to manufacture public fear. The propaganda used to sell the war relied on a culture of dehumanization. When an entire population is marketed as a collection of subhuman threats, the resulting atrocities follow a predictable logic. At Abu Ghraib prison, the International Committee of the Red Cross found a pattern and a broad system of abuse. This wasn't the work of a few rogue soldiers, but a systemic environment of torture implemented from the top down. In Haditha, Marines killed 24 unarmed civilians, including women and a 3-year-old child. Despite the longest war crimes investigation of the conflict, not a single person was convicted of murder. In Mahmoudiya, soldiers gang-raped a 14-year-old girl and murdered her entire family. One soldier later told investigators they did it because they had stress and needed to relieve it in some way. These field-level atrocities were the inevitable physical manifestation of the administration's initial propaganda, which relied on the systematic dehumanization of Iraqi citizens. Taxpayers have spent nearly $24,000 each on these wars, wealth diverted directly from domestic schools and infrastructure. These funds funneled into private companies, as defense contractors like Halliburton saw their profits zoom up by 600%. Western oil companies used the invasion to secure exclusive no-bid contracts for Iraq's vast petroleum reserves. ExxonMobil and Shell, BP and Chevron reasserted dominance they lost decades prior. The Iraq War successfully robbed the working class to enrich political elites and defense contractors. The destruction of the Iraqi state created a power vacuum that led directly to the rise of ISIS and decades of violent instability across the Middle East. Over 1.5 million Iraqis were displaced by the war, the largest population displacement in the region since the Palestinian Nakba. The U.S. government used propaganda to justify killing hundreds of thousands of civilians to enrich a small elite, the same behavior it used to define Saddam Hussein as a dictator. Because the United States won the war, it was able to unilaterally label this aggression as liberation. Any other nation executing this invasion would have been treated as a criminal aggressor. Labeling it a tragedy ignores the deliberate, documented criminality of the entire operation. The architects of this war, Bush, Cheney, Rumsfeld, and the defense CEOs, remain completely free. They are celebrated as elder statesmen and visionary business leaders. Because there was no accountability, the political and media machinery that manufactured the Iraq War remains completely intact, ready to sell the next conflict. Without legal consequences for those who orchestrate these crimes, the American public remains a walking wallet for future imperial grifts. The blood is on all our hands, and it will not wash away.